Hello everybody and welcome to yet another tournament video by FakeMews. It's like they keep coming out some sort of evil pandemic that is spreading like wildfire. The wildfire is also banned from this tournament just like it was banned from last tournament. I'm going to go over the rules. This is the first video of tournament number 3. Tournament number 3 in the GUStakes series is a unique format. So basically, there's 6 pre-constructed decks. That's what I'm going to call them. You can call them worse things if you would like, because they are very, very bad. Think starter decks, but slightly different. They are all comprised of only welcome cards. In fact, all 6 decks are exactly the same, except for 6 different cards in each deck. You must play the entire deck list copied exactly. So just copy the deck code, toss it in there. You have 1 deck to choose from each domain, so a total of 6 to choose from. Each round is a best of 2 out of 3. I think it's best 3 out of 5 if you get the finals, but we're a long way from that. Best 2 out of 3 must win with 2 different domains. And that's basically it. You can play any god powers in this format. You just gotta run well. So the first video that we're going to do here is my round of 256 matchup. There was a little bit more than 256. I think there was like 270 people who entered this tournament. However, that meant a vast majority of the field got a first round bye, myself included. So we're going to go ahead into my first matchup in the round of 256. Now the reason why I am recording this video is because when I actually played the match, I was watching the candidates chess tournament, and I was more interested in that than this. So you see here some of the cards we've got in our mulligan. Obviously, they're not very good cards. You could argue keeping the 3-mana 1/4 front line as a line. I was just hoping to get good cards, and this mulligan is absolutely great. So we're doing a lot of things right here. We're going first. We have a good draw, plenty of things to do. So Gladiator0702 decides to play with the very greedy Palace God Power 3 mana to get a 1-mana magic spell. So I take an interesting line there. Instead of playing the double Dockside Prowler, I decided to just kill the Volatile Imp. Now, one line there is to play the double Dockside Prowler, attempt to attack with the Hog into the Imp, and then hope the Imp doesn't hit the Hog. The line that I did was more consistent and basically secures a 2-for-1 card valuation, and I think that the Dockside Prowlers are going to help me just fill out my mana curve more efficiently. Our opponent obviously doesn't have a very good hand if they're pipping to use their God Power here. I mean, it's a value-generating God Power, but man, is that slow. So here, I just want to use my mana efficiently and apply as much pressure to the board as possible. So we play the 1/4 front line and the 2/2 Dockside Prowler. And they go ahead with a 1/4, which is, you know, it is what it is. It's not a lot of bad cards being run. 1/4 front lines galore here. Now, I've got a lot of options this line, and I actually remember what I did here, and I disagree with it. What I should have done is I should have played the Vanguard Axewoman and double attacked into the 1/4. That because the reason being is our opponent picked the 3-mana Palace God Power instead of the Ping God Power. So leaving 2 minions with 1 health doesn't really get punished. So I probably should have taken that line. Now here they can attack with their 2/3 and the 1/4 into my 1/4, and that's probably the correct play. Especially because you can consider the fact that I've got the 5/3 with regen that's just staring at the 1/4 and just going to peel it and then regen up. So our opponent has a good turn here. Hunt Warden is probably the best card in any of these decks. Objectively speaking, it's a very, very good card. A Hunt Warden is a 3-mana 3/4. There's nothing else to the card. There doesn't need to be anything else to the card. It's still the best card in each deck. They go ahead and they could have dealt 1 extra damage to the barricade. I guess they decided not to. Here we've got multiple different options. I probably should play the Rune Rider to see what I get, and that's what I do. The cool thing about the Rune Rider is you're always guaranteed to get either the Rune of Strength or the Rune of Fire. So you always are going to get a good Rune. Now, in half the time you get your choice between the two. Speaking of those 2 runes, there's 2 in the Sanctum to choose from. So both of those are available and are very strong cards, especially in this format. Our opponent makes a series of trades. We're still feeling good. We're outvaluing them at the moment. That prevents their minion from dying to my God power, so they did get some value out of that card. And now we've got a lot of different options here. We're going to go ahead and elect to play the Rune of Fire. I want to full clear my opponent's board, and we go ahead and do so. And now I am 4 wide. And in this format, since we're playing pre-constructed decks, I can safely say that there are no AoEs to worry about. There's nothing. So you can never get punished by going too far wide in this format. What this type of format does is it promotes bad habits, because a lot of times you're up against a magic list, you don't just dump your whole hand like that because you're worried about getting punished by the inevitable, like a plethora of area of effect spells that magic could have. And here I don't have to worry about that because we're playing basically starter decks or starter deck quality lists. Notice I haven't picked anything from the Sanctum yet, and that's because my opponent has 6 favor, and because we don't have to worry about blessed effects in this format. Again, pre-constructed decks, then I can be patient and try to pick my spot. So here I'm considering the Rune of Fire, I'm considering the Rune of Strength, and ultimately I'm most likely just gonna buy both. But again, I don't feel like I need to commit. We've got a 4 wide board. I thought about using my pip and playing the Rune of Strength on this turn. The thing is I thought the best target for me to put that on would be the regen minion. So I just decided to still not commit. Again, I'm not worried about my opponent getting from more than 6 favor up to enough favor to start purchasing from the Sanctum. They did generate the Rune of Fire from their Rune Rider prior. But now the 4/4 minion on board with the +2/+2 available in the Sanctum, we can see it easy value play this turn, play the Rune of Strength onto either one of my 2/2 minions, and then run into the Hunt Warden is just too much value for our opponent. Opponent is up to 9 favor after that last turn, so it's probably best to start going ahead and making the Sanctum plays that I've been penciled in my head for a while now. But we've been in control of this game basically since turn 1. We went first and we got a good curve on our opening hand. We seized the early initiative, and when you do all of that, good things happen. Opponent makes a value trade there, which makes some sense. Epiphany to remove the Ursine, again, makes some sense. But they are at 12, and we have the opportunity to play Juggernaut, which is just a 6/7 minion. I know some of you might be like, oh, you're not getting the benefit of the Blitz, and you're correct, but it is a 6/7 minion, and what am I going to do? Play Barricade? I mean, so yeah, just go ahead, toss the Juggernaut. Again, there's no way to really get exposed for going too far wide in this format. So our opponent is going to get to foresee some great cards. Just kidding. They're gonna foresee some cards in their deck list. Use the Metamorphosis, which they did generate from their God power. That could have actually been a game breaker. Hypothetically, if you metamorphosed the Juggernaut after attacking and got something like a Helion Elite, that could have really swung the game. And instead, they use it on a 2-cost minion and get Deathwatch Elder, which doesn't really change much of the situation at all, does it? So opponent needs to kill a minion to prevent lethal here from their perspective. If they remember I have Ruin of Fire, then they know I have lethal anyways. Maybe they don't know it because they don't see it, but they should know it. But I still have the Ruin of Fire that I've been holding on here. And this is a simple spot the lethal. There's only one line here that guarantees lethal. The rest is relying on a 50-50 from the Juggernaut. But why rely on a 50-50 from a Juggernaut when you can tell the Juggernaut where to go? So we go ahead and we take game number 1. And next up is game number 2. Because that's how mathematics goes. So game number 2, I'm queuing in with the War pre-constructed deck. My opponent is queuing in with the Light pre-constructed deck. We had a Magic Mirror in game number 1. And if you notice, I'm looking to the left of my screen. I'm looking at the second monitor. I'm watching the chess candidates as I'm playing this match. Again, we're using up our positive RNG way too early in this tournament. We're going first for a second consecutive game. Great draw here. The Volatile Imp is stronger in this matchup than prior matchups because our opponent is running the Heal God Power, which doesn't ping minions off the board. So we get the early game Hog, and they play the Imp themselves. So what I want to do here is play a minion and then attempt to swing with the Hog into the Imp, and then hope the Imp Afterlife doesn't hit the Hog. As it so turns out, the Hog just goes face, so it didn't really matter my order of operations. But you play the minion first, because I would rather the Hunt Warden with 4 health take a point of damage than a potential 1 health Wild Hog get finished off by the Afterlife. Our opponent plays a solid 1 mana 2/2. That's the type of stuff you want to have in your opening hand. Unfortunately, the early game Hunt Warden is really going to help myself establish board dominance. So here, I want to attack with the Confused Minion first, so I go ahead and play a minion. And the reason why I didn't play a second minion is because if the first hit there, just like that, then I wanted to play the Pantheon Messenger to heal, so I can heal the Hunt Warden. I'm healing the Hunt Warden because it had 3 health. I think that the healing the Wild Hog up to 2 health doesn't accomplish much, since their 2/2 would just want to trade into it. They're already looking to trade, want to stop this start, and they do Commune with Light, which is a hand buff. But with the start that we have here, they're just way too far behind to really have a chance in this game. They go ahead and remove my minion with their Prowler. We draw a dead card, which doesn't really help our situation. Here we want to come at them with as much speed as possible, and since we don't really have to worry about ping in this matchup with the Light God Power here, we go ahead and buy the 5/1. Because if you don't have a way to ping it, then a 5 attack minion for 2 mana is actually very scary. Now they play a 5 health minion for 3 mana, which is less scary. And they're going to go ahead and buff said minion, even to make it even bigger. So that's very large. Unfortunately for our opponent, we've got... I could literally time out here with ways to deal with the situation. I make a play mistake here. I should have flexed the fact that I knew what flank was by attacking, and then my opponent can complain about a bug or something. Now I'm debating on whether or not to play Barricade. This is probably the least important decision I'll make the entire tournament. There is nothing wrong with just passing there. I guess the Barricade does stop stuff like Vanguard Axewoman, but at this point, there's just no coming back for our opponent. And here, we kill our opponent on 5.5 mana with welcome cards. That's impressive. That was fast. So we win our round of 256 match. We will advance to the round of 128 match. There will of course be a video on that once that match is complete. I hope you all have a great day and see you the next time you tune in.